Translation is about more than just words. It's about building bridges between cultures. Imagine trying to explain the feeling of Eid Mubarak to someone who's never experienced it. You can translate the words as blessed celebration, but the true essence is lost. And that's where the art of translation comes in. Think of a delicious biryani. You can list out the ingredients: rice, spices, meat. But to truly understand its richness, you need to taste it. Translation is like that. It's about capturing the flavor, the essence, the soul of a culture. When done right, translation helps us understand different perspectives. It allows us to appreciate the beauty and complexity of other languages and cultures. It brings people closer together, but translation is not always easy. It comes with its own set of challenges. Words don't always have direct equivalents across languages. Cultural nuances can get lost in translation, and sometimes biases can creep in, distorting the original meaning. Some words are like chameleons. They change their colors in different contexts. Take the Urdu word dost, for example. It can mean friend, but it can also refer to a romantic partner depending on how it's used. Now imagine trying to translate a love poem from Urdu to English. If you're not careful, dost might end up as just friend, completely changing the poem's meaning.
This is just one example of how cultural concepts can get lost in translation. Humor, sarcasm, idioms, they all rely on shared cultural understanding. Translating them requires more than just finding equivalent words. It requires cultural sensitivity and creativity.
Translation isn't neutral. It involves choices about whose voices get heard and whose stories get told. For a long time, English has been seen as the dominant language, the language of power. This means that stories from other languages, like Urdu, often have to fight harder to be heard. Think about the books you read in school or the movies you watch. How many of them are translations from languages like Urdu, Hindi, or Arabic? The lack of representation can make people feel invisible, like their stories don't matter. We need more translators who can bridge this gap. We need to create more space for stories from marginalized communities, because everyone deserves to have their voice heard, regardless of the language they speak. Section 4, the bias we carry, how prejudice sneaks into translation. We all have biases, it's human nature, but when these biases seep into translation, they can perpetuate stereotypes and harm entire communities.
Let's say a news article about a protest in a Muslim-majority country uses the word mob to describe the protesters. Now imagine if this article is translated into Urdu. The Urdu word for mob often carries a negative connotation, implying violence and chaos.
This choice of words can shape how people perceive the protest. Even if the original article was more neutral, it can reinforce existing prejudices and create a distorted view of reality. Section 5. Whispers in translation, privacy matters. In the age of Google Translate and instant messaging, it's easy to forget that translation involves real people's lives and stories. This is especially important when it comes to sensitive information like medical records.
Imagine a doctor using a translation app to communicate with an Urdu-speaking patient. What if the app mistranslates a crucial detail about the patient's medical history? This could have serious consequences for the patient's health.
Privacy is paramount in translation, particularly in healthcare, legal, and financial contexts. We need to ensure that translation technologies are secure and that translators are trained to handle sensitive information with care. Section 6. Bridging the digital divide. Translations Promise and Peril. The internet has connected us in ways we never thought possible, but it has also created a digital divide where access to information and opportunities is not equal. Translation technology has the potential to bridge this divide.
Imagine a young girl in a remote village in Pakistan who wants to learn about astrophysics. With the help of translation tools, she can access online resources and connect with experts from around the world.
However, there is also a danger that these technologies could worsen existing inequalities. What if the translation tools are not available in all languages? What if they are too expensive for many people to access? We need to make sure that everyone benefits from the power of translation, not just a select few.
Ethical translation is not just about getting the words right. It's about building bridges, breaking down barriers, and creating a more just and equitable world. It's about recognizing that every language, every culture, every story has something valuable to offer.